Happened in the 90s.
You change your oil every 3,000 miles, right? You don't, do you? You push it. Now you're so busy you try to squeeze another 1,000 miles out of your oil. Well, squeeze this. Just to do it yourself when you have the time. Reformulated Quaker State. Protection beyond 3,000 miles under any driving conditions. Anybody say insurance? It's been tested. And unlike that lazy uncle nobody really likes to talk about, it works. Quaker State. Sensible technology.
So it's been a while.
Really?
Everybody that's listening right now, Steve and I, we did such a good job like getting everything in order before my move. We haven't talked in like 2 weeks, a week. I don't know. It's been too long. It's been
Talked
a
to you
while.
yesterday.
Well, I'm talking on the podcast, Steve, not behind the scenes.
It's where has it been? What, 2 weeks?
I haven't seen your handsome face in like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I've been fiending, Steve, because I got a bunch of 90s shit right off camera here just to show you right now, to prove to all these haters that we are from the 90s, and as such things. I found so many VHS tapes, Steve.
Oh shit.
Before we get into that, I mean, it's weird. It's a DVD, and it's actually okay. The disc is in there, but it did happen in the 90s. King of New York.
Oh,
A little Frank White,
Chris.
a little Larry Fishburne, if you will. That happened in the 90s.
Not Lawrence.
Larry.
Yeah.
With that Joker laugh. He's
looking to get sprayed, laid, played, and slayed. You know what I'm saying? I heard that.
That's like that would have been a great joke. In fact, was his name Joker in it?
You know about that movie better than I do.
Now I gotta look. I don't think it's gonna say on the but it's got Larry Fishburne, it's got David Caruso. There's another 90s legend, all that red hair. Chris Walken, Wesley Snipes. I mean, who knew?
Forgot, yeah, he had a smaller role. I forgot all about that, man.
But because go out and get them. Because we're wrestling, we love wrestling. I just thought I'd start there. So right away, Steve, we got an ECW Extreme Revolution VHS.
What the fuck do you know about that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know why I have this, but I clearly, maybe you made a mark in my life or somebody got me into this. So,
because I didn't know, I never knew you to be that into ECW to own something of ECW. Yeah, that must have been like, oh, I got some extra cash. Like, hey, that's available. I'll buy it.
Well, this is what is featured on this VHS tape. We got a Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn from the 1999. We got Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka from 99. This is all very late 90s. So
yeah, that's some good shit, man. Towards the end of ECW, Tanaka and Mike Awesome had some really good matches, and so did Jerry Lynn and RVD. Man, Jerry Lynn always reminded me of Lane Staley from Alice in Chains. But
I need to see him. But I just got to say, now that I'm reading, I haven't read the back of this, but this Mike Awesome Masato Tanaka match. Listen to the description. Listen to the poetic nature of this description. Human bodies reduce tables to splinters. Steel chairs smash brain cells. And skeleton rattling power bombs shake the ring as two merciless titans attempt to score their decisive pitfall in this legendary feud for the heavyweight title. I mean, did Shakespeare write this, Steve?
Or Heyman, Paul Heyman.
The man has got away with words, apparently.
I can't see real good. Is that Bill Shakespeare over there?
Oh, he's an embellisher, and he's a fellow Virgo, and man, I could see him writing all of that, man, verbatim.
Well, the other matches featured on this was a tag team match of the Dudley Boys versus Balls Mahoney and Spike Dudley. So apparently there was a rift in the Dudley family for a while.
Oh yeah,
And
Spike,
Spike got a little testy apparently. He thought he was better than Bubba Ray and Devon, but I don't think they won. Maybe they did. I don't know. But there's two flaming tables in the match apparently. Yeah. So it was a flaming table match. That sounds pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Sabu versus Taz, which seems classic ECW. Those are two of the hitters. So
yeah,
apparently I was an ECW fan back in the day, Steve, but that's not it. There's much more here. We got Bret Hart looking like he's in the midst of a fat shit on WWF Wrestling's hottest matches, sizzling.
What year is that?
Where we got here? 1992, Steve. We got a 1992 edition. I mean, this is very vintage. We got a best of Monday Night Raw Volume 1. And what I consider the cream of the crop here, best of WrestleMania 1 through, I believe, 15. I'm not good with Roman numerals, but I think it says 14 or 15 on there. 14 maybe. There's an X.
There's an X. Yeah, that's 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some hitters here. So this is just the wrestling, Steve. I found these they're just here. I don't know what else is here at this point, but got those. And then I'm just gonna go through these, but there is a few funny ones here I just have to call out. So Half Baked on VHS.
Never gets old.
Never does. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. We got Mallrats on VHS.
Oh, who's your favorite new kid? Call me Donnie. Call me Joey.
Like Burt Reynolds and shit.
Yeah.
Was something we've actually talked about pretty recently. End of Days, the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, special edition VHS. I don't really know what's special on this, but it's there. Not one, but two copies of Money Talks, the Chris Tucker classic.
And the answer to all my dreams.
Chris Tucker was that big of a deal. You had to make sure.
I had to buy two, Steve, just in case. Yeah. Maybe I have to give one to a buddy, just to, who knows?
Man, why you ain't got no shirt on?
And I mean, this might go for some money. I don't know. An original, like this is the first VHS that came out after Jurassic Park came out. This is the OG movie. So,
dude, it's still got that like fresh out of the plastic bling to the box.
Oh, I'm not fucking around here, Steve. We got Jurassic Park on VHS. I don't know how I'm going to watch these, but I got them. So
yeah, that was going to lead to my next question, but yeah.
And then just a couple more just to, really cruise through. We got two Fridays. I mean, to me, the best too, obviously. We got the OG here. And if you like Mike Epps and you want a little extra sauce on it, we got a little next Friday too. Heavily quotable. We definitely get real nasty up in here. I said that in college a lot. I felt
Auntie Sugar and Uncle Elroy. Yeah.
And then just because I love it, it's a weird movie if you go back and watch it, like a lot of 90s movies, but the Mark Paul Gosselaar classic Dead Man on Campus. Basically the gist of this movie is two guys go to college and start partying and fucking around and failing. But in like the terror of not telling their parents that they're not doing well, they find a loophole in the bylaws of the college they're going to that if your roommate kills himself, you don't fail. You get A's, I think maybe is that you get all A's. So they don't try to kill somebody, but they're trying to find somebody who's suicidal to move into their dorm. And it's a whole thing, Steve, but it is very funny. Mark Paul Gosselaar's in it. There's a few other hitters in the 90s. Really hot black chick. I don't remember her name, but really hot. So
who's the guy that looks like John Mayer on the
what's this guy's name? We got Tom Everett Scott. So yeah, I am not good at this. That guy,
he's no Zach. Yeah, I could tell you that.
No, he was not. He had a very small role in Boiler Room, the movie,
with Giovanni Ribisi. I love saying the name. He deserves more work. Giovanni Ribisi.
He was that's another king of the like an unsung king of the 90s because he was in like remember that Nicolas Cage classic Gone in 60 Seconds? He was heavily featured in that movie. So
Another one of Matt's collections. I remember that
it's
DVD.
in there somewhere. It was on DVD
and
for sure. So
Suburbia, he was in that, and he was the buddy. I think he was Kevin Arnold's buddy in Wonder Years. And he was the buddy in some other shit in the 90s. Yeah, Giovanni.
I remember
Ribisi.
that. Giovanni. Look at you.
Yeah.
All right. But hey,
Giovanni.
We got all I could bring out some starter jackets, Steve. I mean, this house is just filled with vintage Matthew Geddick. So I mean,
can you fit the starter jackets?
I mean, I could fit two of me in these starter jackets, Steve. They were for a young fatter Matt, and also, unfortunately, for the resale value of these, apparently my mom thought I was retarded or something. She wrote my name on all, like in the tags of all of the jackets. So either she thought I was going to lose them, or one of the young ragamuffin go-hards in Ohio were going to steal them. But I don't know if anyone was scrambling for a Steelers or Penn State starter jacket, but you never know.
I mean, so that she could identify you getting off the bus. Somebody else might have the same Pittsburgh Pirate starter jacket, but not. Does he have Matt on his jacket? No.
Yeah, are you a clone or are you the real? It's like, remember that movie Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger? You had to like pull it down and you had like a little marking that there wasn't that, but you just have to double check. There might have been another fat kid that just had the similar style, bowl cut and sexy demeanor, and you never know. You just get confused at the bus stop. So I get it. I understand.
So the Matt scribble isn't prevalent on the jacket.
It's on the tag, Steve. I mean, it's right there. This is my mother's handwriting from 3 decades ago, basically. So it's right. It's as clear as ever. Even now, I can see that it's a Matt Geddick jacket, and there might even be a Dallas Cowboys jacket in there for you, Steve. I don't know if you want to rock it. I don't know why it's there, but it's there.
Fuck yeah! How did that end up in the Geddick household?
I don't know if I ever told you this, but like when I was super young and before my dad had like instilled Steelers mania into my head, I actually was a Dallas Cowboys fan. So it took moving to Ohio and realizing, these people are scumbag Browns fans. I need to like really just stick it to them. That's when I really cemented my love for the Steelers. And we actually talked about it and clipped it out. And I gotta say, Steve, the timing on that clip was so great because we talked about how Ben Roethlisberger had shut Browns fans up, how it was just easy
on the local like Ohio schools that Finley played when he was there.
And he did it again. He did it. I even talked shit about Mr. Roethlisberger, but I'm calling him that because he did it once again. He did that easy work we talked about, and he shut Browns fans up one more time. And actually, I think has actually started the downfall of this new Browns dynasty before it even got started. So
that episode was responsible for it.
Ben Roethlisberger, I'd like to take a lot of responsibility for that. And I see now OBJ and his father are now sort of hijacking his career. He's not going to be playing for them anymore. And it just looks like maybe the Browns have now started the downward spiral that we're all used to,
Cleveland Browns, we know you're watching. You saw that episode and you said, you know what? We don't want to be good anymore. Let's get rid of OBJ. And let's make it hard for Baxter Mayberry, whatever. Yeah.
Johnny Strawberry, whatever his name is, Johnny Manziel. I mean, I could say 5 names that I played for them recently, but he's about to add to that. That picture that's like a meme that's like a jersey just with the list of names.
Yeah,
add another one to the list, y'all. Just get
the one bites the dust.
So, I gotta say, it was just nice to see, Steve. So I don't want to harp on the Browns. I don't want to rub it in, really. I want to have some class, but I just thought the timing was really good on that.
Yeah, hey man, I there's always a time for petty. Keeps things entertaining.
Cheers,
Matt. Put on your petty pants.
I can't help it, man. I just had to withstand so much verbal abuse from Ohio, and while it did
I did
affect
too.
me, you too. So I think
The
we can both
Cowboys.
sympathize. I wish I
Yeah.
could say that, the Cowboys need to do the same thing that the Steelers did, but I don't know.
Well, either one that you would have picked, I think it would have been a thorn in those Browns fans' side because, like, I relate to what you said. As a Cowboys fan, I caught shit from my family, my cousins, my grandpa. And it's Steelers, it's the same. It's like you're going to get hated on by motherfuckers who ain't never won shit.
That's the thing that concerned me the whole time, where it was like, am I crazy? Am I forgetting some kind of success, or like blacking out and just not remembering it all? But it's just, I want to call it delusion. I would like to call it, glass half full syndrome, but they're taking it to a whole nother level. And like I said, everything turns, there's some, way ebbs and flows of time and life, but it seems like the Browns have a pretty consistent brand, which is to elevate their fans' hopes to the most extreme level and then just dash them on the rocks of the NFL year after year. I mean, we have a longer season, and even with that longer season, I just don't see them coming back. So I might be wrong, who knows, but right now it feels pretty good, Steve. So
yeah,
good time to be alive.
I have a soft spot for the Browns because of, being around them, the fans for years, man. And they are my AFC team. I
get it.
Yeah,
I would. Here's the thing. They're like, the Bad News Bears or something. You want to see them succeed in some way, but as a fan of a team in their division, I can't ultimately root for them. But if they're not playing my team, by all means, like today, they wall up the Bengals, help the Steelers out, and they got to win too. So hopefully they feel good about that. You gotta cherish those little.
Oh yeah, anytime I can, I try to shit on Giants fans, Eagles fans, and Washington. Hey, Matt, what is the name of the football team in Washington?
It's Steve. It's the Washington football team. You didn't know that? It's WFT.
I know. That's what I asked you. What is the name of the team in Washington? The football team.
On second. What they're gonna land on one. I just don't, I don't know. I kind of like the ring of WFT. It almost sounds, it's like World Poker Tour. It almost sounds like some weird organization. I don't know what it is. Is it a football team? Is it, a channel on cable access? I don't know, but they'll get there.
It's just the front. It's just a front to get your mind off of the toddlers being made in the pizzeria up there in Washington. So they want to get all the attention to the Washington football team with all the pandemic and the vax that'll make you turn into Magneto. All of that's going on. Meanwhile, they want you to focus on the Washington football team.
All that success. Kids being molested in the basement of a pizzeria. I don't know anything about it, but hey, Daniel Snyder, he's doing some right thing. He's doing some good things over there in Washington. Okay.
Yeah. You're watching a football game, eating a piece of pizza, and before you know it, that piece of pizza tastes like your niece. And you say to yourself, what is going on?
Why is there a child's blanket as one of the toppings on this slice of pizza? It makes no sense. Oh, and now it was all right, Steve. QAnon, they figured it all out.
Make them say kill, banana.
Oh man. So it's been too long, Steve. In the words of Stained, it's been a while, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back where it's warm and cuddly in the 90s. So thanks for keeping it warm in the 90s for me, bud.
Hey, welcome to the East Coast again, too, buddy.
Wow, it's I sent you that picture, Steve. I'm glad you brought it up, because not only did I send you that picture of what I thought were two baked potatoes sitting on a seat, but no, those were citizens of Virginia. But we had an interesting thing happen, and we, as you and I, have experienced weird things that we've seen in public together when we were in college, whatever, what have you. And Kendra and I in California saw a lot of weird or
I'm sure
things. And I thought moving to Virginia, moving to the East Coast, maybe that would stop a little bit. But we are in the process. We're still not moved into our apartment. What you see behind us is actually a room above my parents' garage. So I am living in my parents' house right now. We're waiting on our furniture to get delivered, but we've been sort of going back to the apartment we have an apartment, it's just empty. So we're moving stuff slowly over there, and my parents live about 15 minutes away. And we have to go to Walmart sometimes. We got to go to Target. We got to get those things for the house, the toilet paper, the bathroom, whatever, the accoutrement you need for an apartment. So we went over to Walmart. And actually we went to Ross, Dress for Less, because we are still trash at heart. We love Ross. Don't we all love a nice Ross?
It's some good finds in Ross.
Get some good kitchenware. Get a nice pair of shoes you weren't expecting to get for $20. It might be a little irregular, but anyway, we were over there. It was about, I don't know, 8:00 at night. It was late. Yeah. And this place was in a big. It's a big complex. There's a big Walmart across this big parking lot. There's a Ross. There's a few other places, and we parked in this area. And I was, trying to get my medicine, Steve. It's a little different here. I have to hide it a little bit, but I was trying to get my medicine in the parking lot. And,
back to the Harshman days.
Yep, exactly. Remember cruising, Steve? A lot of that. A lot of
cruising and sitting, putting ourselves in jeopardy of getting arrested.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that. We were parked. Yeah. We were, it was very safe and everything. But we look, I park in what I thought was a nice, well-lit area just to sort of organize my thoughts and whatnot. And I looked to my right. And Steve, what we witnessed was one of the most I don't know what to say here, surprising things. I don't know if it's surprising because the mantra of Virginia is Virginia's for lovers. And apparently that's very true, because we look right to the right of us and there's two young people having sex in a car, Steve, and they're not having sex, in a way that nobody can see it. They're under the most powerful light in the parking lot. They're not hiding anything, and they're completely naked. And what I saw was thrusting. I saw a lot of that. And then I saw, in It's Always Sunny, when Dennis is banging the hippie chick and he's like, ugh, I saw that. So we saw.
What time of day was this?
8:00 at night, Steve. And when I say these people were in a well-lit area, I mean, you couldn't have been in a more secure, well-lit area. There was no hiding it. They didn't seem to care. And why should they? It's young love, I hope. But it is love, because we went into the store, we were laughing, we thought it was hilarious. But of course, when we got out of the store, I was like, we got to go over there to make sure what's going on. But, maybe they're still there. And
if you a freak, just say that. That's really what y'all want. Y'all want to go
Steve,
see somebody do the boogie.
I'm not going to lie to you and say I wasn't interested and maybe hoping they'd call us into the car. There wouldn't have been enough room. But anyway, what I will say is apparently Virginia is for lovers, because not only were those people having sex in public, when we went back for the second look, they were cuddling in the car naked, Steve. It was all good. But these people, I don't know if this is like a swinging thing that we're not aware of in the area, or if this is an aberration. But again, I don't know if it's this. I feel like weed always does that. It brings you into the path of something weird. I don't know if you agree with that, but we definitely saw something weird. Well,
it can.
Yeah.
Did they look like they were teenagers?
I don't, I'm going to say college kids, because we are next to a college. The guy had some facial hair. So I'm 38. I'm old. Everybody looks kind of young to me. But if I were to guess, I'd say 20s. But when I say 20, it wasn't a sexy 20s. It was a mushy 20s, a very magnetic early 20s type look,
Man, they probably didn't have options. It's like, we don't have our own place,
That's kind of what I thought. We've all been there. You got, like, for me, I remember going out on like Tinder dates and stuff. I didn't want to take them back to like where my roommate was. So we're making out in the car. We're doing a little bit of that, or even in high school, a lot of that stuff. So maybe it was, who knows, but it was young love, Steve. And I got to say it's very apropos that Virginia's motto is it's Virginia's for lovers.
It's a rite of passage there.
They're busting.
And some people like to be watched. You never know.
Yeah, hey, if I can find whatever the chat room is that gets you access to that group of people that's just out there being exhibitionist and busting in public, hey, I'm getting older. We got to me and Kendra got to spice things up a little bit, I guess. Maybe we'll do some Walmart love.
Be careful. That could land you about 5 to 10.
Yeah, we do have an apartment, Steve. It's not necessary, but hey, it's nice to get to a new area and feel welcomed. Feel very welcome.
Yeah, man. Is there crotch waiting for you at the borders? Like they just have them lined up, like, hey, Virginia's for lovers.
Yep. It's just it's instead of a rest area, it's a bust area. You just gotta go.
Sign me up.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
That doesn't look like a regular door behind you. It looks like waste. Oh,
it's like a crawl space. It's like a Harry. You ever remember Harry Potter? They had him under the cupboard. Yeah, that's basically where we're staying, Steve, in the crawl space.
It looked like you on a set of Being John Malkovich. Is fucking Spike Jones there?
Yeah.
Hey, Spike, what up?
I'm gonna go bust in John Malkovich's, but make John Malkovich do crazy shit. That's what this is, Steve. That's why.
Are you in his eyebrow? Like, what part are you like?
We're taught this is Malkovich, babe.
Oh my goodness, man.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is. Way. And I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. How dare I? Go ahead.
Yeah. I wasn't ready to do it anyways. What you got, Matt?
I didn't have anything, dude. I just interrupted you for no reason. I apologize.
I'm about to pour a shot and smoke a little spliffity bliffity.
Oh man, dude, it's good to be back.
Shit, man. Does it feel different being on East time now?
Not really. I kind of tried to get it right into my same schedule I was, where I'm getting up at like 7. So especially with daylight savings time, I think it helped a little bit. We got an extra hour, so hopefully that helps out a little bit. But other than being significantly colder out, same thing, but I got to see all my family, so right away, that's why I came here. So
Cali boy, they spoiled you. You were raised in this.
Yeah, I know, right?
You forgot where you came from.
I'm a biatch now, dude. If it's sub 60, Matt's shivering. Matt needs I need a shawl. I need a warm shawl and a cup of hot tea.
I do like that Toledo Storm. Is this your first time wearing this on the show?
I think I might have worn it before, but I mean, Steve, this is another 90s. I bought this when I was in junior high, and I was that fat I can still fit in it as a 38-year-old man. So, for those of you who are fat as kids, go back into that closet if you've lost weight, because a lot of the things you wore when you were 12 to 15, you never know. You might be able to fit in them. It's a little short.
Yeah.
But, I think I rock it good. I hope the Toledo Storm are watching. If you guys need like a male model at all, or, spokesman, I'm right here.
And the paint's it's still like intact. It doesn't look like it's faded. No rips. So yeah, man. Dude, you could probably eBay a lot of shit. If you still have a lot of stuff like that intact, like starter jackets, man, you could flip.
I have a Cordell Stewart rookie card in a placard with a picture of Cordell Stewart. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why that got kept, but there's some Steelers fan who I bet is just raring for that, So there's a lot of things that the starter jackets, I'm trying to offload those. I got to figure a way to like scrub my name off the tag, but somebody can wear these. Somebody's going to buy those. There's some 90s aficionado out there that's just dripping in starter clothes and Umbros and whatnot. And hopefully they're going to be on Facebook Marketplace soon, because I'm putting these bastards up and I'm trying to sell these shits because moving ain't cheap, y'all.
Facebook Marketplace. You're gonna go through Mark Zuckerberg.
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck it. He can. It's a good platform. It's not.
You need to link up with Tom
like it used to.
I feel like we neglected Tom. We need to like try to do business with Tom. Like,
hey, Tom, if you want to help hook me up with some sort of portal, I'm happy to. I'm just trying to find buyers. So
that motherfucker
pay for this move, Steve. We got to get this. We got to get this West Coast money over to the East Coast as quickly as possible. So,
Tom, holler at us, man. Like, dude, I ain't forget. Like, you used to let us make our own page, put music on that bitch, have like sprinkles coming down the.
I was gonna say the snowflakes,
and dope boy snowmen and shit. Like, man, Tom, bro, you lit.
I mean, it took 30 minutes to load my MySpace page because of all the like accessory visuals I put on it in music. But hey, that shit was kicking for about a year before Facebook took over. So Tom, call us.
Yeah. It kind of looked like my sophomore year roommate, Kevin, one of my favorite Canucks. Yeah, it's something I always thought. Like when I first saw the Tom thing, it was like Kevin Kilpatrick.
Yeah, it did. I mean, facially, it's a dead ringer. Was he, dude? Were we with like a tech billionaire, genius in the making?
See my missing tooth, I'm missing side blind.
Oh, Kevin Kilpatrick, what's up? Shout out to Kevin.
Canadians are cool.
Warner Brothers presents David Spade and Sophie Marceau.
Where have you been?
He was way over on the pier.
You bad dog. I should spank you.
Hey, I was way over on the pier, too.
In a new comedy about hot women.
Are you all right?
That's okay. I'm on the pill.
Cool dogs. Whoops. And that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
You didn't? There's nothing.
Lost and found.
I'll go make the bed.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, April 23rd.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. So get out your Pedro Martinez jerseys and your No Limit fatigues. Because somebody had said you was looking for me. The man right here. Oh, what you go to? Go to? However you want to. 2 million records of cotton. So how's you sounding?
God damn, Steve, you're starting this episode off with a bang.
It's been a while. Word to Aaron Lewis.
Yeah, but fuck you, Aaron Lewis. It's getting a little hard to even support the guy at all, but it has been a while.
Speaking of which, we sidetracked Sally all over the fucking place, but Limp Bizkit's album that just came out last Sunday is pretty decent.
Wow, what?
Above my expectations. The expectations weren't that high.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, they weren't that high, considering everything, but they went past whatever the fuck that was. And it's called Still Sucks. That's the name of the album.
Oh, wow.
So, Limp Bizkit Still Sucks.
Did we get, wow, Fred, taking a little self-deprecation route. I like that.
That's the jab. He went the Marshall route.
He's doing like the 8 Mile thing. He's covering all the bases so that bullies can't get out there. He's getting ahead of the game, you know.
I take notes. Like, I'll talk about my ears before any of you sons of bitches. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're fucking big.
I mean, you got
take all the fucking heat.
Take the ammunition away from him, Steve.
Yeah. Didn't hurt them all, Gina. I didn't hurt them all. Yeah, we're going to be talking about everything November 11th in the 90s. And we're talking about A Living Color again. And we're talking about the one and only man up in Seattle, Fraser Crane.
That motherfucking Fraser Crane, dude. And it's such a, I mean, we're getting into some great vintage In Living Color and Fraser Crane. I gotta say, these were two fucking, I almost busted when I watched it, Steve. I was very excited. So.
And once again, I feel like we cheated some other shows out. This was difficult, man. That's why, like, I thought about doing a poll. Let's go live. Let's ask the people what they want. And it's like, no, that's too much work.
Yeah,
they probably won't even.
We don't like. We get like 2 votes. It's like, well, you know, I don't. Whatever psychopath is voting.
What a waste of time that was. Yeah.
So you know, but I gotta say, it is very hard week to week when you send these lists. Like, just first of all, to know what we can cover in the time and what's available for us to watch. It seems like we're getting like HBO Max is getting a lot of these things now, so we don't have to worry.
I'm glad
much.
You said that.
Oh, they're getting Christmas a lot, dude. They even have fucking Martin now, dude.
Oh my god,
dude.
Oh, I mean, yes.
I always was wondering when that was going to happen because after it left syndication, or at least I haven't had cable in forever. Other than I think maybe MTV or somebody playing it for a while. Somebody was playing it, but I wasn't watching it. I had to buy the DVDs. So it's good to see. It's good to see we're getting that now.
Dude, it caught me off guard. I'm going through HBO Max doing my usual. What the fuck is up today, HBO Max? And it's just like, whoa, Christmas came early this year. I stopped, and then I kept going. In the house, the LL Cool J. And then I kept going. Parenthood with Faison Love and Robert Townsend.
Okay.
I kept going. The Jamie Foxx show with
We're getting there,
Fancy.
Steve. See, somebody's figuring it out. And they also got TGIF. All those shows, they're on there too. So I mean, HBO. Again, guys, if you want to give us a call too, we love the brand, and I will not say, and I will not besmirch HBO Max at all. I'll besmirch Paramount Plus, Peacock, fuck, even Hulu. I'll besmirch them all day.
Yeah,
but
Hulu, you dropping the ball on some shit. You do redeem yourself every now and then, but yeah, you're in the hot seat. But HBO Max, they came into the fucking fourth quarter like goddamn Jordan.
And I just love to see it. Again, now that's on there, we need younger generation. We need people that are younger to just see Martin in all its glory and realize it's not going to get any better than that, guys. It's not going to get any better than that. Watch it, consume it, just keep it going. I don't want to lose that. I have the DVDs, but the access to that, good job, HBO Max. God. Thank you. And the Jamie Foxx show, I don't want to not give flowers to all those other shows, because just as happy to see those, but Martin
it's Martin.
Yeah, exactly. It's the top of the, if you got that, you got the gold medal. It's not going to go away. You don't have to worry about it. So
did you miss me? Yes, we did. We definitely did.
We did.
A lot of stuff happened, man, in November 11th in the 90s, man. We have In Living Color. We got Frasier thinking that they can pawn some shit off only to get got in the end. Interview with the Vampire. We were just talking about, I think, the last episode. We got some Tim Allen as Santa Claus.
We're getting into that time of year too, where these are just some good epic. We're getting the Thanksgiving, the Halloween, which you just covered. We're about to get some Christmas. I mean, I'm about to start crying, Steve. I just can't hold back the emotion anymore.
Man, we'll make it. And in 1990, on November 11th, In Living Color is airing episode 21. The OG cast, for the most part, is all there. The Wayans family, Tommy Davidson, the Dag, Takia, Crystal Kima, Kelly Caulfield, and of course, Jim Harry.
I mean, just to see Keenan come out, do the intro, always right with the world. We had to cover a later one where that wasn't the case. But this one, Steve, is a banger. We've watched some, and you get a skit that maybe wasn't as good as the other ones. This one, they're all heaters and they're all little racy, Steve.
Yeah. And this is 1990. This is how we started the decade off, just on that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm 7 years old and my head's exploding,
Man, they're saying cuss words. This is cable.
I can't believe it.
Now, Keenan introduces the show wearing the latest fashions from the Rue McClanahan series. And the first skit is Magenta Thompson's acting school. And it's Kelly Caulfield. And I feel like she doesn't get enough credit. She held it down like the whole tenure of this show. And she's reoccurred in other like sitcoms in the 90s. But she plays Magenta Thompson, some like run-of-the-mill actress. And she's teaching an acting school. And she tells one of the students that some former actor told her some people were born to act, some people learn to act, and then there are people like you. But then she persevered through it all, and that led her to landing her first gig in the movie Friday the 13th.
Turns out, though, Steve, she pops the tape on of that role, and I don't think she made the cut because it appeared she pulled a D. Reynolds and just tried to like mug for the camera. And she's like, oh my God. And it shows Jason, like, doing what Jason does, about to kill somebody. But instead of killing her, when he gets her, he's like, get out of my way, bitch.
Out of my way, bitch.
Out of my way, bitch.
Because she wasn't supposed to be there. The person he's about to kill is right behind her waiting. And I don't know. Magenta Thompson's acting school. I don't know how much credibility she has in Hollywood because it appears she's just jumping onto set and trying to get some camera time and not succeeding very well.
Troy McClure ass bitch.
So they start going through this is an acting school, so they have to go through exercises. We do find out that this class is only $15 a class, so you're not breaking the bank. We got to lose 20. Maybe take an acting class with Magenta here. But she gets a call from in the middle of the class from her, I guess like her assistant or agent or somebody. And bad news, she didn't get the part. Surprise, surprise. So she just got to like pull it together. Like all good actors, that's part of the lesson. You're not going to get all the parts that you go out for. And I guess she was really hoping for this one. She takes it a little bad, but like a good actor, she gets right back on the horse, starts teaching. And she starts showing her reel again, or the class is continuing to watch it. It appears that in every scene, she is just being pushed out of the way. And the only quote is, "Get out of the way,
Get out of my way, bitch."
Out of my way, bitch.
So,
out my way, bitch. By the way, this is the main reason I wanted to watch this for this skit.
One. I didn't remember this, but man, you said it in the quote, and I was like, "What?" You were like, "Mel, you watched it, right?" And I didn't understand what you were talking about, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" So we get Dag, we get Tommy Davidson's in it a little bit. At one point in this class, even though she's a teacher, one of her students actually has to leave a little bit early. Why? To go act. And she's like, "Would you sleep with the guy? Like, there's no way you could be an actress." But even her students are surpassing her. So Magenta, all the best. But I don't think you're going to be winning any Oscars anytime soon.
Yeah. Takia Crystal Kima, she had to leave the class early for an acting job, stirring a bowl of dog food, and she's just downtrodden. This Magenta, and she's just going into like, what is the character's motivation? And she does this whole thing where she's like, how does she feel about being pushed out of the way by this guy, being treated like something he stepped in after she took him into her apartment, into her bed? And what did he leave her? Nothing but that cold sore that took her 2 weeks at the free clinic just to get rid of.
Yeah, so Magenta, she ain't winning a lot in Hollywood. And even like this, her reel is actually sort of affecting the way she teaches the class, like you said. She explains that story. But another thing, when she runs the exercises, the only thing these other actor students have to go off of is her reel. So all the acting is somebody approaching somebody and the other person going, "Get out of my way, bitch." So
yeah, but David Allen Greer, the way he says it,
Get out my way, bitch.
out my way, bitch. And
classic. But this, I gotta say, what's her name again? What's this? Kelly Cofield, right?
Yeah.
She played, this is a role that she had perfected. She played this so many, like the salty white woman smoking a cigarette, being trashy. I don't know if you remember her character in Scary Movie. She was a teacher in that, but she was always carrying a baby, smoking a cigarette, and like she was a teacher in the movie, and she was always like, one of the students she was fucking and the kid was her. She was just like a trashy teacher in the movie. So very much the same vibe of this, just she'd perfected this white trash role very well. So salute to Kelly. She was one of my favorites in Living Color.
For sure, man. And go ahead.
I was going to just go on to the next skit if we're ready.
Oh yeah, listen.
Yeah, this one is wild. This is the Foundation for Golf Heritage skit, starring Jim Carrey as JD Bud Simmons. There you go. And JD is a membership chairman for a golf course in Birmingham, Alabama. And he's just addressing some controversy from his golf course, that his course doesn't allow Black people to play on it. He doesn't do himself any favors immediately by showing, he's like, look, we let black people in our golf course.
As you can see, there has always been a place for blacks at our club, as long as they're not holding one.
And basically, this is just a giant racist infomercial with JD saying things like what you see on Steve's behind him here. One of his catchphrases is, "We don't eat our greens, we play on them." So
now what we have is a failure to communicate.
If
golf
God
has
meant
always
for
been a
blacks
white
to
man's.
play golf, he wouldn't have made it so expansive.
We didn't say anything when the blacks took over basketball.
And he's addressing this, but he's also addressing he says, look, what we have some video footage of what actually happens when you let black people golf. So they cut to Dag and Tommy Davidson looking like Run DMC on the golf course, basically just doing crazy shit, alley-ooping golf balls to each other and shit.
Doing the Cabbage Patch, the Kid and Play, dressed in all black with leather hats.
So this is just a plea to all the white people to just support him, his racist golf course, and all racist golf courses, because I kind of do remember this. This is a pre-Tiger Woods era where golf was very white. In fact, it was completely white. And I do remember a controversy. Maybe it was more close to when Tiger Woods became famous, but a lot of these golf courses, even when we were in college, had these racist old school rules that were they never changed at all. So this isn't far off, I think, Didn't
we talk about this in the Designing Women episode we covered? Like, wasn't that a part of the storyline?
You're right. See,
yeah.
This is a big 90s thing. And, but this is hilarious to see Jim Carrey just acting a scumbag fool. And this is so good.
Yes.
And, yeah, if you agree with him, you just need to write in and you get that free racist bumper sticker that he's holding up behind Steve. So to all you racists out there, give Jim Carrey a write. And if you don't want black people to golf, but this hasn't aged well because, of course, Tiger Woods went and obliterated all this. So
pretty much,
shout
yeah.
out.
Yeah, it's a little dated. In the next scene, it's kind of a meh. Kind of a blowover skit, but it does touch on some realism because I've encountered women like this. Not to say that there aren't men like this who are just as insecure, but so Tommy Davidson and Takia Crystal Kima, they're on a blind date and they're at the movie theater, and immediately she just throws things off.
Well, it's very
Tommy
much
Davidson,
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think I'm beautiful? Like, you didn't say I'm pretty, like those things, they're basically everything is, oh, am I a joke to you? Like, she kind of turns into Joe Pesci and Goodfellas a little bit, everything is a fight. So it's not going well.
Like, it's like a lose-lose situation. However you respond is just going to be taking the wrong way, because he starts off like, hey, we're going to have a great time.
You didn't think you would?
No, I thought I'd have a great time.
Okay.
And then he says, like, you're a lot prettier than Susan said you'd be.
Oh. What do you mean? Did she say I was ugly?
No.
And then he's like, oh, she said that you were a court stenographer. I've never met anyone that... She said, what? Do you think I'm stupid?
I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
You think my job's goofy or something? Very Joe Pesci energy. I mean, he even at one point, Tommy Davidson is basically backpedaling this whole time, just trying to smooth over this thing so he can get to like the makeout, the good part of the date. But it's just not even. He calls her perfect at one point, and she's like, "You didn't say nothing about my neck."
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do? And I gotta say, Steve, Evelyn, who is Tommy Davidson's very picky date, she needs to worry about that fucked up hairdo, because it looks like somebody burned like straight up torched the top of her. It's just some shit's going on. It's like, why is this not going the way? You need to just accept whatever you're gonna get, Evelyn, because you're not making it easy.
She's rocking that Jolene from the Real World.
Mean, God damn, how much heat went under the top of that hair. It just looked like burnt to a crisp. But Tommy, he just can't win, Steve. He even compliments the woman's tits, which I don't even know. He says something about big, beautiful tatas.
Big
I don't know.
bodacious tatas.
Exactly.
You got big bodacious tatas, all right?
I don't know if that's the move at this point. It seems like you're not going to win. This is just like
at this point, he was just like, yeah, Libby, I don't care at this point. Like, you can only take so much, because you said like he tried to like smooth things over, and then like there's something shit over here. Like, let me smooth that over. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. You got big titties, bitch.
Yeah, like maybe this is gonna work. I don't know,
Like,
but
what do you?
it doesn't, Steve. And then he's like, you know what? Here's a quarter.
Call a cab, find some help, have some popcorn. I'm out of here.
Which honestly, you probably saved yourself just a lot of wasted time. Just, you know, you're not even getting to enjoy the movie at this point. So, you know,
it's not worth the nut.
And Evelyn is she's just so in need of a man at this point. She tries to even just get another guy in the theater who looks kind of interested for a moment to sort of come and like join her. And even that guy's like, no, bitch. And he even pours his popcorn on top and is just like, bye.
And fun fact, the gentleman that poured that popcorn into her box was the oldest Wayans brother, Dwayne Wayans.
Dwayne Wayans. Wow.
Dwayne Wayans. He's the eldest, older than Keenan. Yeah.
Dwayne.
He pops up. He has little cameos just like that throughout the show and other Wayans productions.
That's a nice pop-up video. That's like a good Snapple fact. See, I like that. I didn't know that. You just learned me some. You just educated me. I love it. So shout out to Dwayne Wayans. Who knew? What was he doing? Is he just in the background? Was he like the money man? Like, what was his expertise? I wonder. He had to add some to it.
Well, outside of being the eldest Wayans brother, he actually was involved in the film industry.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool.
Yes,
See,
sir.
the Wayans family, they kept it in the family. That's smart, awesome, and I didn't know that fact. So thank you, Steve. You are the expert.
Nasty.
Now, the final scene is Laquita Sings the Blues. It's a spoof of I Love Lucy, but it's I Love Laquita.
And it's also a spoof, I believe, of the Billy D. Williams movie Lady Sings the Blues. That I think that's just an amalgamation. But I got to say, Steve,
yeah,
Billy D's in this, the real Billy D. But Keenen Ivory Wayans he's killing this impersonation. He's killing this.
Have a nice cold 45.
Dude, oh my God, Steve. That's one of your best. That's one of the best.
Orlando here.
So this is like Lucy, Laquita. Laquita is the Lucy of this. And she is they're in her apartment. The actual woman who's playing Lucy, and there's like a Lucy in this that's her friend. She comes over just to get some Slim Fast.
Ethel, played by Kelly Caulfield.
Yeah, exactly. And on the radio, while they're talking, there's an announcement that there's a Billy D. Williams imposter on the loose, and he's thieving. He's obviously looking sexy if he's looking like Billy D. But anybody who looks like Billy D. Williams, you're not supposed to let them into your apartment. But she ain't listening. She didn't catch that. They left, but there's an imposter Billy D on the loose, Steve. Watch out.
Yeah, man. He'll be here all night. Lando be serving you here.
So they are Jim Carrey plays the Ricky Ricardo type guy, Laquita's husband. He's not really in this too much, but he does a couple of things. Laquita, he gives a couple of good performances here. But as they're sort of talking in the living room, Billy D shows up.
Billy D. Williams! Oh, my!
Well, do you want my arm to fall off?
Or is it, Steve? He shows up and he's looking hot as hell, but I don't know. Is that Billy or is that Willie D?
Well, yeah, they leave. Ricky leaves, Jim Carrey leaves, and it's just Ethel and Laquita. And then Billy D knocks on the door, played by Keaton Ivory Wayans, and immediately Laquita kicks Ethel out. And she sits him on the couch and tells him that, hey, I can do the best reenactment of Diana Ross in Mahogany. Or was it Mahogany or Lady Sings? One of the two.
Yeah, I forget what she says, but she's raring to go. She wants to impress Billy D. So,
and like as she's headed to the bedroom, Keaton Ivory, the imposter Billy D. Williams, he cases the joint to see like whatever he could take, and he ends up going into the kitchen. While he's in the kitchen, Ricky comes back with the real Billy D. Williams. By the time they get in there, Laquita comes back and she does her Diana Ross reenactment and throws water on Billy D. Williams, and he's just like, he's still like blown away by her performance. He sees something in it. And he's like, it's a pleasure meeting you, Laquita. And she's like, well, we already met. What are you talking about?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So then for some reason, I think he leaves the room to clean off the water.
Goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
To
it's
dry
a very
himself off.
What's that English guy, like the show? What's that fucking show?
Benny Hill?
Yeah, exactly. Very Benny Hill-esque skit here. And then the fake Billy D comes back. And Laquita doesn't really clock that they're different people. She's seen both of these people, but she's just like enamored with Billy D. She's caught up. Even Jim, obviously, I was like that too. I was like, which one's which? I don't know. But then when we get to a point here where both Billies come into the same room together, it's who's the real Billy D, Steve?
Are you gonna believe this clown? He doesn't have any class.
And she says she knows, she'll know. Laquita has a way of figuring this out. She makes Billy D do a scene from a movie where it ends with him kissing her, I believe.
Yeah.
So the real Billy D does it first. And she's like, you ain't Billy D. He even lays a smoocher on her. And that's when it sinks in. It's like, that's the real Billy. But Keaton Ivory Wayans is like, you're not going to let me get a kiss? And she's like, ugh.
Kiss you? I sooner kiss my own brother.
It is
Easter
a brother
egg. Oh, I see what they did there. And, you know, Billy D is tonguing down Kim Wayans with her pretend husband just standing there looking like a cuck, like this.
But I mean, honestly, Steve, if Billy D walks up on somebody's wife, that's probably going to happen. You know, I'm not a man of like sexual prowess of a Billy D or the suaveness or the debonairness of a Billy D Williams. I wish I can hope to attain that someday, but Billy D, even now in the state he is, still probably just swimming in pussy.
My apologies for dicking down your wife in the driveway. Have a code 45 on me.
And I gotta say, also, I don't know how many times it happened, but Billy D got to do the sign off on the show that when they ended the actual episode of In Living Color. And not only did he do a sign off, Steve, this motherfucker in whatever age he was just starts knocking out some push-ups.
Grown man strength.
I mean, they were good form too. These were good push-ups. These were solid push-ups. So Billy, he was in prime Billy D at this point.
Oh yeah, this is peak, man. He's fresh off those Colt 45 commercials. You know, he's getting those residuals from Star Wars, and the strength is in the hair. Matthew, you said that you don't recall ever seeing a black mullet. You must have forgot 1990 era Billy D. Williams. I tell you.
I kept that shit straight, Steve. It wasn't high and tight, but it was sexy. And I just got to say, shout out to Billy D. This motherfucker, decades long resume of movies, women, I'm sure, TV. I've always loved him. I was a huge fan of Star Wars when I was a kid. Lando, one of the baddest motherfuckers in Star Wars, one of the sexiest Star Wars characters, probably. Shout out to Lando. But my favorite Billy D. Williams role is in the Ladies' Man movie that they made with Tim Meadows. He was a big part of that. Yeah. And he was like the narrator of it too. And it's just vintage Billy D. I mean, I don't, if you don't like Billy D. Williams out there, anybody listening or not listening, if you don't like him, there's something wrong with you. Go find Jesus.
American treasure he is.
And he's still around. He's killing it. He got a Lando movie. I mean, they gave tribute to him as a character in Star. I don't know. The movie wasn't great, but he was cool in it. Just I love me some Billy D. So shout out Billy D. Williams. Keep killing it.
Hey, free Colt 45s if you can, buddy.
Is that still a thing? Does Colt 45 still exist?
I had a Colt 45 in preparation for this show a couple of days ago.
Well, I mean, you're nothing if committed, Steve. God bless. How was it? Was it as smooth and delicious as Billy D made you think?
It tasted like struggle.
It's some good malt liquor, but goddamn, Steve, what do you expect? Yeah. How much did it cost, Steve? How much does a Colt 45? What, first of all, size of a Colt 45? Is it a tall boy? Is that what I'm thinking of?
They don't do metal caps anymore, or at least with this one they didn't. It was plastic. It was like a phony Colt 45. It's just like, what the fuck? What's this? Yeah, I blame the new millennials, Matt. Fucking participation award, fucking Colt 45.
I don't like to hear that, and I'm sure Billy D wouldn't like to hear that, Steve. But I don't think they could even afford Billy at this point. It's just a memory. It's a beautiful memory. It's a beautiful ad. Many beautiful ads that he gave them. So again, sorry, I'm sure it's like a time capsule thing. You got to have a Colt 45 every once in a while just to remember what the 90s tasted like.
He was, think about it, bro. He was so cool. He made malt liquor seem classy. There was a time when motherfuckers didn't think, like, oh yeah, Billy D shit, oh yeah, let me give you Colt 45s.
If Billy D's drinking it, I'm drinking this shit. Like he probably, how much business did he get to Colt 45? Because he put his name on the brand, Steve.
They did numbers more so than before, I'm sure.
And if nothing else, the ads, I mean, look at the print ads. It's like Billy D in a tuxedo with a woman. I mean, for some reason, there was even like champagne glasses. Maybe people are drinking champagne or Colt 45 out of a champagne glass, but he was making it look like you were going to the Met Gala and you were dressed to the nines, surrounded by classy people, the elite of the Fraser Cranes of this world, if you will. And you were just drinking Colt 45s at these events. And I got to say, it's because he is that slick and smooth. It's unfortunate that the taste of a Colt 45 isn't as slick and smooth, but what do you expect?
Yeah, man, it tastes like late payments.
It's probably in that realm of like a King Cobra, like one of those. It's like one of those where it's like desperation drinks, like Steel Reserve, that drink where it's more like a function to get you as fucked up as possible. It's one of those things. It's not like you're not looking for a smooth finish or a note of oak or rose petals. You're just trying to get fucked up.
I retract my statement. Colt 45 tastes like payment arrangements. Steel Reserve tastes like late payments, and not just any late payment. It tastes like just right before they cut your shit off.
It's the day before. It's that day before where you're like, I could pay this bill, or I could buy this Steel Reserve and just get like fucked up and just worry about it tomorrow type things. And it's that moment right before they cut the lights off.
Well, it is 11:57.
Oh man, but shout out Billy D, man. I'm gonna try to get a poster of one of those Colt 45 ads, and just I feel like I need to have that up somewhere in my new apartment. I got to give tribute to one of the smoothest men in history. So maybe my wife wouldn't be happy about that, but it is what it is.
The corporate thing just didn't work for me. I mean, that's just the politics, but the whole backstabbing, water cooler chit-chat and all that, well, garbage. So one day I'm online and I find Beyond.com. Before you know it, I got a home office and I'm living life on my own terms. With Beyond.com, I can stay at home and order all the software I need for my business, and it can be downloaded or delivered to my door. I'm as free as I want to be. Oh, hi. think it's a great arrangement.
Now, in 1994, on November 11th, Interview with the Vampire Chronicles premiered in theaters. A vampire tells his epic life story, love, betrayal, loneliness, and hunger, starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Stephen Rea, Antonio Banderas, Christian Slater, and Kirsten Dunst.
Man, this is just like a fucking all-star of teen heartthrob dudes. Kirsten Dunst, when she was a little girl, I mean, she was like 14 in this. She was very young.
She was 12.
And Steve, for the life of me, I mean, I remember this. I watched this movie. I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. I know a lot of people are, but this is more of that. This is Twilight before Twilight. I feel like a lot of women watch this and just really just got soaked the seat, in the theater.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a lust fest of a fantasy gore.
Yeah, but it also had that weird overtone where Kirsten Dunst is like she's a vampire, I believe, in this. But
yeah,
there's like a weird sexual chemistry between these older. They're blurring the lines a little bit. Like remember the movie The Professional with Natalie Portman is sort of like a young teenager. Yeah. Sort of that same vibe where there's like this weird. I hate to keep saying vibe, but there's just this weird vibe in the movie where there's a younger child in it, but there's also this weird sexual energy. And maybe that's like because vampires are always sort of portrayed in some capacity as have like
some sexualized
sexual energy. Like when you become a vampire, it's just like you start talking like this, like you're like one of those swinger guys who's always like massaging his chest hair and stuff. Like, we're in the lifestyle, like one of those guys.
Yeah, you get an 8-pack ab set and shit.
You're fucking in a car. It's not fucking in a car in a Walmart parking lot. It's more like you get a mansion. It's a mansion party type situation where some guy in a bar is like, if you come over on Saturdays, me and a few of my compadres are just, experimenting with each other.
Yeah, I don't like the way you presented that. Hard pass.
Carol, if you're in there, I'll see you at the office tomorrow. Just bring the bowl. You can finish the egg salad. My God, why people crazy?
I'm going to close my tab now.
Can I please have my keys?
Yeah, and what was your name? Ugly Jason.
Yeah, right. Steyer. I gotta go.
Yeah. And actually, Kirsten Dunst, this was her first on-screen kiss with Brad Pitt, and there was an 18-year age difference between them. And in an interview, she revealed the scene had made her uncomfortable. Man, I wonder why. She remarked, "I thought it was gross because Brad had cooties. I thought. I was 12."
Yeah, now she'd probably be singing a different tune. And here's another thing that just like. I respect Brad Pitt. I like Brad Pitt. I really enjoyed his career, but I found out today or sometime this weekend, the dude's like 65, Steve.
Get the fuck out of here.
How old is he, babe?
He's not 65.
57. I'm sorry. He's a 57-year-old man.
Yeah.
He does not look like a 57-year-old man now. Here, this was Brad Pitt when he was just when people just win all the chips in poker, and it's just like the chips were women, Steve, and Brad Pitt was winning all of them at this time. So shout out Brad. Shout out. Look at Tom though, trying his best, but looking very like a fop, like a British fop.
Yes. Yeah, Tom, your peak was in the 80s. When people didn't realize you were a fucking tool.
Yeah, they're trying, like, now it's kind of weird now because both of those actors are still like prevalent actors. They're trying to like, but I feel like Brad Pitt, like he's untouchable. Now Tom Cruise has this, the luster's worn off and it's all very weird, or they're just trying to put him in like another Mission Impossible, or I saw there's a Top Gun reboot that's coming out, which I don't know who was clamoring for that fucking thing, but
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
There it is.
And, yeah, man. I to me, this is just me. I feel the same way about Sandra Bullock, but a lot of people obviously love her. But I think his brand is ashy.
I mean, there are some Tom Cruise movies, and I'll say, like, the first two Mission Impossibles, I was into it. I enjoyed those. There was a Steven Spielberg whatever, he made War of the Worlds. I don't necessarily think that movie was good because Tom Cruise was in it, but it wasn't a bad movie. But I feel like I am agreeing with you in that anything that Tom Cruise, especially now, is in, I might avoid it, honestly.
You're grim. Eyes Wide Shut was cool.
But it's a Kubrick movie. Like, you were going to watch that whether or not Cruise was in it or not. It didn't matter. I mean, very cool movie, very weird movie. But it was his last one. Yeah, it was. And it's like a very like in the 90s had a lot of these sexual movies where it's like, remember, like what was it called? Sliver, I think. There was a movie, a lot of those movies, like
brother.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of those movies where it was like kind of an erotic thriller type thing. They don't make those really anymore. You don't see that a lot. Whereas like a movie where it's like almost a softcore porno, but it was like it had a Baldwin in it, or it had, Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise, the reason that movie popped off, I think, more was because you finally got to see Tom Cruise in like a rated R movie. He wasn't playing a bad guy, but it was just like women were like, oh my God, I can finally see Tom just ravaging some lady. And it wasn't even really about that, but it was just one of those. I didn't really like the movie now that I'm thinking about it.
I didn't mind it. I thought the story was interesting, but we talked about it before, man. I might see it again in my life, but I'm not in a rush to. I mean, if it's on, it's like, oh shit, ain't shit else on. I'll check this out. It's been a while. But Christian Slater's role was actually going to go to River Phoenix. He was the original choice. And Slater donated his $250,000 salary to two of Phoenix's favorite charities. Both real dudes. I mean, obviously I don't know these men, but I like to think Christian Slater is a real one. And I've heard a lot of great things about River Phoenix. He was in cool company.
Gone. I mean, he was lost too soon. I don't really have a lot to go off of other than when he didn't Stand By Me. I think that was River Phoenix.
Stand By Me, yeah.
So yeah, he was an up and comer. He was like with Johnny Depp, like all those guys in that little brat, whatever you want to call that, like era of heartthrobs. Christian Slater very much another part of that. But I'm with you. Christian Slater, I haven't always liked his shit, but he's been in a lot of movies that I remember from my childhood. He was in a movie with Fred Savage called The Wizard. That was like basically an advertisement for Nintendo. It's not a great
Super
movie.
Mario, yeah.
It was one of those movies where you got to see video games, and I don't know. I just never got like the new video games, and it was like a preview for the newest video game, and it made it, I just remember that. But he was also in a really good Tarantino written flick called True Romance that to me is one of the best movies he's ever been in. But
for sure,
that's really good. But I think he always kind of got made fun of because he always has this affectation that he's like doing a Jack Nicholson impression almost.
I think he does, but I still like Christian Slater. I'm not saying he's doing this intentionally, but I can't ignore the fact that this man sounds like a younger Jack. Hey, man,
especially like when you watch True Romance, it almost is like he's doing like a dead-on impersonation of the guy. But that being said, I'm glad to hear this dude actually gave up his money because this guy, he got a part, off the back of somebody's death. That's pretty dope. I'm thinking of Interview with a Vampire, and was he like one of the people that wasn't a vampire, right?
He was the reporter guy. I think he was there, taking notes and all of that, man. Now, even though you didn't like it, somebody who did like it was Anne Rice. She was so pleased with this adaptation that she took out a 2-page ad in both Vanity Fair and the New York Times, endorsing it as a masterpiece.
Wow. Well, I guess that goes a long way. Anne Rice, good writer for, that type of shit. But this, to me, I've just never really been into vampire shit unless it's Dusk Till Dawn. I don't know. There's just never really tickled my pickles, Steve.
No, I get it. Now, they did kind of do something at the MTV Movie Awards. They were nominated for Best Movie. best male performance, best breakthrough performance, most desirable male, best on-screen team, and best villain. I didn't mention the Academy. They were nominated for like 2 awards in the Academies, but those were like genres that they announced during commercial.
It's like best editing and best set design and shit like that.
Yeah, but get this though, Matt. They had 3 candidates in the most desirable male from this movie. Christian Slater.
I'm looking at 2 of them. You could be in there too, Steve. Your head's next to these 2 heartthrobs, and I got to say, Steve, you're stacking up. So,
man, I should have been. I was fine at 11 years old. And Tom Cruise, Christian Slater, and the winner, Brad Pitt.
I mean, we all knew who was going to win that, but that's crazy. And I mean, this is very much, I think, why they made this movie and why they cast it the way they did, because really all this was just a lot of eye candy for the ladies,
Yeah. And I was 11. I ain't got time for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And on that same day, Santa Claus premiered in theaters. When a man inadvertently makes Santa fall off of his roof on Christmas Eve, he finds himself magically recruited to take his place. 190 million off of a $22 million budget, starring Tim Allen.
This movie has one of the funniest quotes in a Christmas movie, where Judge Reinhold near the end receives a weenie whistle, like an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle that he wanted as a kid. Whistle. And he just goes, "Oh, weenie whistle. Ooh."
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
It's one of the most weirdest things of all time. But I got to say, I didn't hate this movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember enjoying this.
Yeah.
I like me
Nothing
some
wrong
Tim
with
Allen. I don't remember who the kid was, but I mean, the actual premise of this movie is kind of odd. I mean, essentially at the beginning of this movie, Tim Allen's sort of like this highfalutin business guy. He's very cutthroat, very much doesn't have time for his family, that type of situation. Mm-hmm. And then Santa just falls off his roof and dies. And so when that happens, you as the homeowner, I guess, I don't really understand what the rule was, but Tim Allen is then tasked with becoming Santa, and he sort of fights it at first. But then the only way his son will actually love him is if he is Santa. It's basically, so he earns his son's love through becoming Santa, accepting the role. It's now that I'm talking about it, it doesn't sound that great, but the fact that they killed Santa at the beginning of this Disney movie, hilarious. So
that is pretty hilarious. I mean, you see who it was made by, so there's going to be a lot of gooey goo 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 goo.
I'm a Christmas
Santa
story
died.
type guy, I love the Christmas story. If I have one Christmas movie to watch, it's going to be Ralphie getting that BB gun and all the hijinks of that, or the Arnold Schwarzenegger Sinbad classic. What is it called? Jingle All the Way.
House Guest?
No.
Oh, Jingle All the Way. Yeah,
I don't think Schwarzenegger was in House Guest.
I get my Sinbad movies confused, man.
That had Phil Hartman in it, so that's just as good. But it's not a Christmas movie, Steve. So
you know who probably didn't watch Santa Claus or Interview with the Vampire on November 11, 1994, Matthew?
Sinbad?
Probably Pedro Zamora, the Cuban American from the real world. He died of AIDS at the age of 22. Yeah.
Ouch. Well, Pedro had a lot of issues with Puck. Famously, Puck put his fingers in Pedro's peanut butter, even though he was immunocompromised. He was
Puck
like
was
one of the, no one likes Puck. Puck's anyone that spits on people just in any capacity. I just can't hang. But Pedro, he became like the, like a poster child for the AIDS epidemic or whatever. He sort of was one of those first public people about it, which I think is why he was on The Real World in this season.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal. I mean, there was a lot of, I think did a tribute for him. He was sort of, famous, at least on MTV. He was a pretty well-known dude. So
and this was around the time Magic Johnson made that announcement.
I think that, it was like sort of on the heels of that, but they put him on the show, and he was just like a nice guy. But then like that dude Puck was on it, and that's sort of what I think is the most famous part of that season of Real World, is their interactions and more famously Puck being a complete douche. So
yeah. In November 11th, 1995, Saturday Night Live is airing the episode with musical guest Smashing Pumpkins and the host Quentin Tarantino.
this is a good one.
You
didn't like it?
Part good. It was part good, part cringe. There was some cringe.
I remember it being good. What was cringe about it, Steve? You seem to have a little knowledge here. So,
well, the fact that it's hosted by Quentin Tarantino, I mean, fill in the blanks there, and some of those blanks were filled. His monologue was a little spastic. He goes into this song and dance, and I don't know if you ever heard him sing, but it looks like this wasn't a comedic song. It seems like he's giving it his all. Quentin Tarantino, you're a goddamn director. You're not Judy Garland. So there's that. And there's an obvious reason why that shit is cut out of Peacock's reruns. And then, but one of the shining lights, this episode is the debut of the Spartan Cheerleaders, Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry, the GOAT. And Quentin Tarantino redeems himself in some skits where the last one, he plays Chester Millbrush. And it's like a PBS kind of public broadcasting kind of show. And he's like this old train worker, and he just teaches people how to beat up hobos. And every now and then he goes into some like story. He retells some story, and it just gets pretty graphic. And I'm sure he had a hand in writing that because as you can see behind me, it gets pretty gory.
Okay. I like that. And very Tarantino.
It's what you would expect from him being the host. And there's another scene. It's a collective scene where it's got Will Ferrell, Quentin Tarantino. It's got damn it. It's called White Trash Around a Campfire, dealing with an overabundance of fluids. And that was part funny, part cringe. Hearing Will Ferrell play a Southern yokel is priceless. And they're basically trying to see how they can outdo each other in gore. Are you familiar with the first Wu-Tang album?
Not as much. I don't want to say I am and then just get caught off guard. So no, I'm not. Okay. You're probably familiar with the skit where Raekwon and Method Man are trading barbs, where they're like, I'll fucking put your nuts. And that's basically what this skit is. Okay. They're all sitting around a campfire and they're just doing some of the most outlandish shit. And I thought I had the shit in my queue. Apparently not. But yeah, it's called White Trash Around a Campfire, dealing with an overabundance of fluids. Part funny, part cringe. And I
also
like it. I love me some Tarantino though. So I mean, I would love to. I didn't watch this, but I'm gonna have to go check it out. And that's crazy. I didn't know when this came in the timeline of SNL, but that's crazy that this was the first episode with the Spartan Cheerleaders. That's a big one.
And this was awkward in a way because you don't get the pop. Because this is the first showing. We didn't know what to expect. This is our first time seeing this. And there were some awkward silences. Like usually when you see them doing their thing, and they were giving it their all. That's like the crowd is on their side, but like, I mean, hey, first time's not always a home run.
I love me some Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry. That was like a match made in SNL heaven right there.
No doubt, man.
They had a lot of good ones.
Something else that's cringe is this director's interview segment that he had. David Koechner plays Oliver Stone. Tim Meadows plays Spike Lee. And they're basically trying to like share stories of actresses they got it on with. And what in hindsight is, because of the Harvey Weinstein shit, this definitely makes it cringe in hindsight. And and Quentin Tarantino's rant, he goes on a rant that makes it a little uncomfortable, and you can tell like this skit is dying. He goes into the whole spiel of like, yeah, when I had to work at Blockbuster and I had to ride a car for 3 years, he just talks about his struggles. And his point is basically like, dude, we're directors, we're ugly, so like cut the crap. Like, stop! Don't tell me about your movie. Tell me about like who did you bang on the set? That's basically what this was. And it had some promise, but like I said, in hindsight, because of everything that's happened since then, yeah.
Mark McKinney, whoever he's playing on the left there in the flannel shirt, he looks uncomfortable in the scene. So.
Yeah, this is probably towards the end.
Trying to distance himself a little bit from the scene. It looks like even in the scene. So.
But in 1996, Atlanta Braves starting pitcher John Smoltz wins the NL Cy Young Award, and Pat Hingen of the Toronto Blue Jays claimed the AL Award. I
mean, I'm not going to talk shit about John Smoltz anymore. We've gone ad nauseum on how much we both hate the Braves, but, this guy was a very successful pitcher, Smoltzy. I'm rocking a Smoltz like stash. I hope I can someday rock a very much 100% Smoltz stash, but I just can't give this guy any flowers, Steve, because he broke my heart as a child. I think he actually killed my love of baseball. So thanks, John.
I mean, I gotta give him his, like, the motherfucker was crushing it. We're talking about him periodically on our show for a reason. He did some things in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he beat my team in the world. Like, the one World Series the Braves won in the 90s, out of all the ones they went to, they beat the fucking Indians. Go figure. But in 1997, Mystical releases Unpredictable, 17 tracks, 69 minutes and 47 seconds. It's his second solo album and his first with No Limit Records. It featured production from the label's production team, Beats by the Pound.
I mean, what's your take on Mystical? I mean, I don't feel like anybody got away with not banging some Mystical tracks, but I was never the biggest fan of Mystical.
During this time, he was my favorite out of No Limit during this time.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I liked
his
energy.
energy.
Killed it. But it was very intense, Steve. Mystical had a very intense style, has a very intense style, I'm sure, but bump it up against the wall. I mean, there's very much a lot of that. So if you were ready for it, but me, I just, I was more of a Master P fan if we're talking No Limit. I was a No Limit soldier. So, I mean, I went with the Prez, not one of the lieutenants, Steve.
I respect it. I love P too. But Mystical, man, because his shit was intense, I feel like he was a Southern DMX, and it just got you in the zone, whether you're playing video games with the music in the background, whether you're working out. His shit was, it took you there. Somebody
like
said you was looking for
Southern
me.
DMX. I mean, that's just certified. Put that on this man's tombstone, because that's perfect. You get a guy, you get somebody who's never heard Mystical, and you have to try. It's like the log line to sell it. That's all you need. Southern DMX, go at it, enjoy. And he had a couple bangers. That one that Pharrell produced, I can't remember which one. I can't even remember any of this guy's.
Shake Your Ass.
Yeah, there
Watch
you
yourself.
go. Exactly.
Shake your ass.
Yeah, I mean, this guy. I'm not gonna say I wasn't banging it a little bit, Steve, but just I'm not gonna just lie to you and tell you I was just all over all the Mystical shit. After a while, it's just like, come on, we gotta slow this down a little bit. We gotta turn the volume down a little bit. Let me get a little Manny Fresh.
I get it,
Master P. I don't need to be yelled at all the time,
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to be your favorite, but what you're not gonna do is say he ain't got no bangers.
I mean, I am not gonna do that. See, I'm not gonna besmirch the man, and I'm not gonna besmirch my own reputation. So shout out Mystical. I hope it's all going well.
This album worked. This was Snoop Dogg's first appearance on a No Limit Records album, but he had not signed with them at the time. He was still credited as being signed to Death Row still. Ain't No Limit and The Man Right Here, those were the singles. But he also has this song early in the album called Murderer! Motherfucking murderer! Talks about his sister. Murder my sister.
What?
Yeah, man. Damn. This shit is it's deep, bro.
I didn't know that.
Something I can never overlook is the lyric where he's like, I came in with my dick in my hand. Like, in what context? Did you come at a woman with your? Is that how you holler at them like this? Like, do you just
came in, dick? I mean,
Did you come to the party like that? Because I don't want to come to that party.
Yeah, if somebody's walking in with their dick straight up in their hand, like I'm exiting out another doorway. You know, I don't want to get caught in the middle of whatever's about to happen there. So I never questioned that, Steve. I just always, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, I don't know what it means, but hey, but I guess
it sounds too aggressive.
From a literal standpoint, I really hope Mystical wasn't walking into rooms with his dick in his hand. But, you know, given the 90s and the climate, maybe he was. You know,
man, you ain't gonna believe this shit, man. We was at this party last night, man. We was out there getting fucked up, bro. This motherfucking Mystical came into the motherfucking living room with his dick in his hand, bro. Nigga, what?
I heard yelling from another room, and then I look over, it's Mystical screaming at the top of his lungs with a dick in his hand. I couldn't even believe it. But I met Mystical that night.
Hey, man. Hey, one of one he is. But on that same day when Mystical was getting unpredictable, Canadian baseball players win the Cy Young Award for Best MLB Pitcher. The Toronto Blue Jays' Roger Clemens, asterisk, wins his 4th AL award, and Pedro Martinez of the Montreal Expos takes the NL award. Yeah, man.
Damn, I forgot Clemens played for the Blue Jays.
Man, he's been around the world. Like,
nah, yeah. And he been player hated. Don't put an asterisk next to the man's name, Steve, because as far as I'm concerned, I want my pitchers juiced to the gills. I want everybody juiced to the gills in baseball. Make it exciting again. And shout out to the Montreal Expos because they don't even exist anymore. They said, fuck the bullshit. We don't need this.
Speaking of juice, I think people forget Pedro Martinez fucking soul glow that he was rocking before he went to the Red Sox. This is some of the best Pedro shit. He was fucking canceling motherfuckers at the plate. Jerry curl dripping on the mound. He was. You can't really see it, but he had a little Billy D. Williams like.
I love it. And I mean, he watched Billy. Maybe he was a fan of Billy D. I don't know, but. There was another guy in the Blue Jays, and I don't remember who it was, but there was another dude that I feel like had that drip too. He had that little fabuloso. There was somebody, I don't know his name, because there was another guy who was a famous Toronto Blue Jays guy, and I can't remember this motherfucker's name, but I think there was another. I feel like there was, but I'm not a baseball historian, so.
Yeah,
you know, Canada apparently had all that extra soul glow just sitting up there, just waiting. So
we don't know what to do with it anyways, eh? But on that same day, in 1997, NHL's newest Columbus franchise announced the team's name would be the Blue Jackets after soldiers in the Union Army during the American Civil War. You hear that, you fucking Confederate flag Ohioans? Get the fuck out of my state. You don't belong. History buffs, you were not. That wasn't how this shit works.
Are the Blue Jackets still a thing?
They were. They are.
They are now.
They have
I don't watch hockey at all, but I do remember this. I mean, this was big news in Ohio. They got a hockey team. They didn't have to root for the Red Wings. And, it doesn't move the needle for me. I didn't know it was named after like a historical thing. I just thought it's, a cool name, Blue Jackets.
I thought it was off the corny ass insect they got back here. And I'm hoping that they got rid of this shit. I hope he's fucking, persona non grata. Get that shit out of here, because if we're talking about Detroit Red Wings and this shit, man, you're not gonna win with this shit. That Detroit, it's just a wheel with a fucking wing on it.
Yeah,
that shit
I was
looks
about
gangster.
to say,
and it's
don't
not
get
going
no more classic than that. A wheel with just an angel wing. I mean,
yeah. That's why Tupac strutted out George Jefferson out in court wearing a fucking like that shit looks gangster. That's what he wore. He wore the fucking like. I want to get a Red Wings
Howe would slap anybody in the teeth for besmirching that logo, so just watch out. Gordy might just come over and slap shot the fuck out of you if you fucking disrespect that wheel.
Straight up, man. Now, in the last November 11th of the decade, Matt, in 1999, Frasier is airing the episode A Czar is Born. The rift between Martin and his son's taste is bridged when they find they are all fans of the Antique Roadshow. The boys have a great time watching it on TV, and when the Roadshow comes to Seattle, they all go.
Aww. Yeah, this is a classic episode. As a Frasier aficionado, this is a good one. I gotta say, there's not a lot of bad ones. This one's a heater. So right away we go right to one of the common places in Frasier, Cafe Nervosa. Roz is on her laptop, one of those big brick laptops, looking like it weighs
strong ass PlayStation laptop,
looking like it weighs 60 pounds. And she's not doing work. She's trying to do some work finding a man, Steve. And
on AOL chat.
Exactly. AOL Messenger. She's just trying to find a new beau in Seattle. And Frasier's not feeling it. He likes a little face-to-face interaction. He doesn't trust that wily internet that's just coming around.
It's absurd.
Yeah, exactly. He likes a little face-to-face interaction, but Steve, not with his own father, who comes in right after. And it seems like there's a little saltiness on Martin Crane's behalf because he's acknowledging Roz. He's like, "Hey, Roz, how you doing?" And she mentions what she's doing, and he doesn't really clock it too much, but he's like, "Oh, family, it's good to have family, Niles and whatnot." But he's giving the cold shoulder to Frasier, and it's clear there's some bad blood brewing between the son and his father. And Martin's he goes on his way, leaving Frasier and Roz back in there. And Roz is like, "What's going on, Frasier?" And apparently Frasier and Niles, who we all know have the taste of royalty, they have they're erudite, they're high society. And apparently they made a lie because they didn't want to go to a family function with Martin, a wedding.
Cousin Doda's wedding, Western theme.
And they got caught in that lie. So that's why Martin's a little salty. He thinks that Frasier and by accessory Niles are actually embarrassed of the Crane name and Martin's side of the family because they have this high taste. And Martin's more, they have champagne taste, and Martin's more of a Budweiser type guy. He went to tall cool.
Court 45.
Exactly. Yes, sir. I bet him and Billy just would love, they would have a great time in Seattle. So that's happening. There's this bad blood. But they also, Frasier's like, I have a little date tonight myself with my brother, and we're gonna go watch Antiques Roadshow. That's what's on this guy's plate. That's how exciting his life is. He's going home to hang out and watch Antiques Roadshow. And that's kind of, it's a reality. I'm kind of finding myself in that reality, Steve. You go home, and you're hanging out with the folks, little bad blood, but who knows? Maybe they'll get a little alone time. Martin can have some of his own time, and this will all work itself out,
And before you know it, this starter jacket is appraised for $8,000. You never know.
Hey, that's what I'm counting on, Steve. I'm going through these boxes. There's going to be, somebody's going to want a copy of Money Talks on VHS, and hey, I got two.
You got one to spare.
Yeah, so hopefully
that ECW tape, exclusive.
So now Niles, Frasier, that evening, they're at the door, and they're just hankering to go watch Antiques Roadshow because their life apparently is they're right at that edge of suicide where your life's that boring that Antiques Roadshow is moving the needle. They open the door, and Martin Crane, who was supposed to be out with his buddy fishing, is in the living room. He's cramping their style, and he ain't going nowhere. Fuck Antique Road. Fuck their plans. Fuck everything. I gotta watch my game show.
Yeah.
But what's his game show?
Duke and night fishing.
Exactly.
The game show is actually Antique Roadshow.
So him and his son's got this high taste. He's got beer taste, but they both come together and they even agree we'll watch it together. We have all this bad blood, but let's settle this. Let's watch a little Antiques Roadshow. And I gotta ask you, Steve. I've had some experiences with this show. I've watched it with family. I've watched it. It's just been on. There's something strangely addictive about that show. And it's shown in this episode. It's just like you watch it. An old man can watch it. A guy who buys caviar and champagne can watch it. And we're all going to watch and just see if the trash these people bring to Antiques Roadshow is going to be worth $50,000 or $5,000. It's just, there's something about it. I can't help it.
I feel like if you have anything on a camera, it's going to be addicting if you put it out there enough. Next on PBS, This Box.
Meredith Baxter Burney in This Box.
Have you seen the last episode of The Box? The box sat there and it was corrugated and it was brown.
It was the greatest thing I've ever seen, Steve. And just like we're saying, Martin, Frazier, Niles, we cut to an hour later, 50 minutes later, and these guys, they're loving it. They're not only loving it, they've forgotten all their problems, all their arguments, and they've even invented a drinking game from watching this show where anytime the word veneer is mentioned, veneer, they got to take a drink, Steve. So veneer, take a sip.
I'll take a shot to that.
And they are
Shout
getting
out to
blotto because apparently on Antiques Roadshow, veneer, it's just they're saying it a lot.
It's prevalent. Yeah.
So as they're watching this, though, Daphne comes in. And in this part of it, Daphne looking very hot. Daphne comes in. And this is actually the part of the show still where her and Niles aren't together. She's about to get married to Donnie. You can look it up. Donnie is a very famous actor. Donnie, he got way out of his league. Donnie is a character who helped Niles get through his divorce. He's a lawyer in this show. And in helping Niles get through his divorce, he met Daphne. And so Niles, who is in love with Daphne, the whole course of this show actually put Daphne in the arms of somebody she almost marries. And at this point in the show, she has a wedding dress that is Donnie's mother's, and she's worried she's not going to like it. She agreed to wear this woman's wedding dress, but what if she hates it, And Frazier's like, well, why don't you model it for us? Let's see what you got. So she goes away. They hear veneer a couple more times and they're just they're about to get trashed. They're about to get wine drunk and start puking everywhere. And then Daphne comes back in looking
like a fucking 10. Fucking 10.
And Niles busts in his pants. And she's wearing this go-go outfit and everyone's like, oh my God, like, damn. And she calls Donnie and it turns out Donnie gave her the wrong box. Or look at this woman. She is just shredded.
Pilates, huh? What is it? P90, ab ripper X,
look
beach
at
body
that.
front. Huh?
That's one of those, like a Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies body right now. She's just killing it. And she's making that look good. Much? And I know Donnie's mom apparently used to be a tasty treat too if she was walking around, but she calls Donnie. She's a little concerned. She's a very modest English woman. So wearing something like this, I don't know if I can wear this. But Donnie tells her, you took the wrong dress. That's actually my mom's third wedding dress when she got married in Vegas back in the day. So Donnie's mom, holler at us. If we get in a hot tub time machine, we might want to holler at Donnie's mom. But right now, Daphne is.
I probably couldn't. I was a black. That was like probably a felony at that time.
Yeah, I don't want to say. I would hate to see anything bad happen to you, Steve. But this woman's looking great.
Don't worry. I would have stayed in my place.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be Mike Myers when Kanye went off.
Lyndon B. Johnson doesn't care about black people.
So anyway, Steve, we cut right before we cut from the scene on Antiques Roadshow. They say they're about to come to Seattle. So Martin, everybody couldn't be more happy about this. They're so excited and they're going to go. They're going. Martin might have a couple of things too. He's an old man. He might have a jackalope. He's got a couple of things, but this brings up another thing in Frazier and Niles' embarrassment of the family that, this is going to be televised and they're worried their trash father might embarrass them in front of their friends. Cause everyone's watching the show. Even high society Seattle's watching the show.
It's like, hey, Niles, man, you want to be on TV, dad pop up with this dusty ass bread box or whatever the fuck he come out with in that room. But what he does have is a pewter clock. He brings the pewter clock to the Antique Roadshow and he goes to see if he can get it appraised. And they find out that he's actually going to be on TV, and they're reluctant, like you said. But when the appraiser comes to him, he tells them that the pewter clock is Russian, made in the middle of the 19th century, and that's pretty much what Martin figured. It's a stunning piece made by Andrei Karagin, who worked for Tsar Alexander VII. And that's pretty much what Martin figured. And all of those clocks were made exclusively for the Romanov family and are now in the Hermitage Museum in Petersburg. The clock is worth $25,000. Oh 25 big things. 25 big things. And now Fraser and Niles want to be a part of the wave. Don't they all want to be part of the wave? They always want to be a part.
Get on the bandwagon, because now this is classy. And this way, they thought this was just a piece of trash in their dad's room, but turns out now they're all like, "Oh, hey, Dad, sup? What's up, Seattle? We might be royalty." This is where it gets a little dicey, because now they have this information from Antiques Roadshow. This clock came from the Romanov dynasty, like you said. So not only are they enamored with the clock, they get home. They're now, instead of putting it in the trash, they're like, well, where can we put this in the room so everyone can see this amazing clock? And with this new information comes this hope that perhaps, just perhaps, they're not just, related to the Martin Crane and these trash people. All this good taste and all this intelligence and high society class is actually because they might be royal descendants, Steve. They might have descended from the royal Romanovs. And oh my God.
And they're not just drawing it out their ass. They're thinking that because their dad told them that, like, oh, my grandfather gave this to me. It's passed down for generations. And so they just try to put two and two together. It's like, well, if that came from our dad's grandfather and this is from the Romanov family, then, well, something's up.
Yeah, this is the missing piece. This is what we always wondered, how we were related to this guy. And now we know we came from this royal lineage, and that sets them. They're like, well, now that there's this information, maybe we should do a little fact finding and look into our family tree a little bit. So they start doing that. And the next day, actually, Fraser's in Cafe Nervosa finishing up his research, as you will. And Roz is actually there, and she's there to meet her new beau, Steve. And
dressed like Jessica Rabbit.
Looking great. Roz won another sexy little Seattle treat. She's very hot. And the guy she's meeting, she shows a picture to Fraser that the guy sent over, and he's like, wait a second. This guy, let me think. This is the guy that's on the cover of Bidwell's, which I guess is a catalog. That's some like rich shit, And he gets in her head, and he's like, there's no fucking way, Roz. The Bidwell's guy ain't on the internet, fishing for pussy. I bet it's Noel Shemsky. He's a computer genius that they work with who has a thing for Roz. He looks like Myrtle the turtle, and he definitely would love to get between the sheets. And Roz is pissed. She buys into it, and she starts just walloping Noel. She starts berating him. And Noel, she's like, why would you do this? And he's like, I didn't do this. But I think, she's like, well, who would? And he's like, I think it's that guy behind you. And she looks behind him, Steve, and it is the Bidwell's guy.
It's the actual guy. And he leaves like, man, this isn't worth the nut. I already saw her spaz out in public. Nah.
I'm not into the rough stuff. I'm not into that. I like a nice, he doesn't like what he sees. So he leaves, leaving Roz to just, finger blast that night. She's doing one of those one-person specials we've all been through where the date just doesn't work out. But it was all because she was shitty. She should have just not listened to Fraser. He doesn't know shit. He ain't on the internet trolling for puss yet. He hasn't gotten that desperate. So it's very much that. I remember that because I will be honest. I met my wife. I met Kendra on the internet. I think I've explained that to you before. I'm a believer in internet dating. But back in the 90s, I was not. I was young. I wasn't doing it. But I think the general opinion of anyone was that to meet somebody online and actually meet them in person was not only stupid and probably would result in just disaster, it might even be dangerous. So very much that's why this joke's a joke. But Roz leaves dickless. but Frasier's still got his hard dick over this royalty thing. And it turns out that he found a connection to this Romanov dynasty that further indicates that they might just be royals, Steve. And to somebody who drinks sherry, who has, caviar just in the fridge, this has to be everything. When you're an erudite, like very highfalutin person like Frasier or Niles, to be told you're royalty and have this great taste, I mean, this just is icing on top of the cake.
It solidifies what I've already been thinking.
Yeah. And they're fully into it. And they're to the point that Frasier actually got in touch with somebody from the Russian embassy who's an
Dr.
expert.
Mishkin.
Exactly. And he's an expert, though he's going to come over to the apartment that night to basically validate what they think is the truth, that this clock is of royal lineage and that they, in fact, are descendants of this royal line. So,
but get this though, dude. He called him. The doctor called Frasier to tell him, dude, I have some very important news. I'll meet you at your house. Like this shit. Like we're in a city that has a lot of people. There's traffic. Like, can't we talk about this shit over the phone?
Yeah.
Like
what is it? Do I have cancer? It's not like a cancer diagnosis. You're just going to confirm some information. So I do feel you on that. Why the secrecy? But I guess the Russian guy, he wanted to make it a surprise, but also somebody else that has a surprise is Martin, who comes into the Cafe Nervosa. And he is already spending the money. He's been told it's worth $25,000. And just based off being on TV, he's already gotten calls for this thing. People want it. People have already offered him 26.
26.
He went up a K. He went up one rack. So now he's already spending the money. And we've all been there. You're expecting a tax refund. You're expecting whatever the check is. I've been there where the money's gone. So Martin comes in and he's like, look, guys, I got an offer for 26K and I got this brochure for a brand spanking new speedboat that I can go tubing on. Which, I mean, for a guy with a busted ass hip and a cane, I don't know if tubing's the best thing for you, but hey, live that lifestyle, Martin Crane. Live that big pimping lifestyle and buy that $26,000 speedboat or yacht or whatever the fuck a 26K buys you in the boat world. I don't know.
Man, live your old man life, man.
That's what it's
live
all
out
about.
Your fantasies, Martin Crane.
And that's the beauty of Antiques Roadshow, Steve. You go in there, you're an old guy who just has a bunch of old shit in his house, and then some guy tells you, you know what? That picture of what you thought was bubblegum is actually Babe Ruth's ball sack, and that thing's worth $35,000. Congratulations. I don't know how you're going to get it. I don't know who's going to buy it, but that thing is worth that much money. So Martin tells Frasier this, but Frasier's like, fuck, man, you can't take this thing away. You can't sell this. I got to tell the Russian guy. I got to get that guy to tell me I'm royalty before you do anything. So he says, listen, Dad, I'm plugged in. I'm the plug into all this fucking money shit. You don't want to sell yourself. Let your son do this. And let me get it to some of these rich white people in Seattle, because I can get you way more than 26,000K, but that's a ruse.
We could probably get 30,000.
But Martin, of course, he's like, you're my son. Why would you lie to me? 30K, I'll take that. I'm just going to get a couple more feet on the boat. You know what I'm saying? Or a bigger motor. I'm not rich and I'm not into boats, Steve, but whatever that buys you, whatever that extra money is going to buy you, maybe some life jackets.
Some bitches on the boat.
Definitely that. Maybe save one of those 1,000, go out and just, rack it up in a strip club and be like, you know what, ladies, Martin Crane's got a boat too. So if you guys want to go, bust all in international waters, old man Crane can make that happen. So
we got enough to make the girls touch it.
So Martin's like, okay, you guys, you handle it. So now there's no danger that this clock's not going to be there for the Russian doctor to come. So cut to veneer. Cut to the apartment later that night. Frasier and Niles are readying the clock. They got the caviar on ice waiting for this Russian guy because that's Russian. Everyone in Russia apparently loves caviar, especially the rich people. And we get the doctor coming in, and I mean, right away, immediately, he's like, you know what, guys, you're right. This is completely authentic. This clock is one of the only missing clocks in that collection that's not in that museum. And it does, in fact, prove that this is one of these Royal Romanov clocks that's gone missing. So in Fraser and Niles' minds,
the cogs are turning.
We're royals. Where's the crown? Am I going to get like a sash? Am I going to get one of those like gold Pope cane things? What happens here?
Plot twist. Your ancestor wasn't the princess. Your ancestor was a scullery maid. Whatever a scullery maid is. Never heard of it before this episode, but that's what she was.
Yeah.
And before that, before she was a scullery maid, she was a Soviet woman of the evening.
Yes.
So she was a human vacuum, and then she ended up using a vacuum for a living. Like, oh, I don't have to use my mouth anymore. Huh. That was your ancestor.
Yeah. So basically what happened was this woman, instead of being like the princess was a real person, and the clock was hers. She fell in love with a commoner, and to escape not being able to marry this guy, she was like, we're going to have to run away together. Her scullery maid, who is the scumbag Crane in the mix, took all of her belongings and said, I'll bring them to you wherever you're going to meet your prince in, you know, shining armor or whatever. But instead of giving it to her, meeting her, she just took the shit. She's a scumbag. She's an old filthy whore. And
gang.
Exactly. So the guy's like, not only am I not going to give you any money for this, you're not royal, you're not anything, and I'm taking this clock because it's legally ours. And if you really want to get into it, I'll just go and tell everybody that you're the descendants of a filthy whore. Okay. And that's
basically enough. Like your descendants used to get made fun of by royalty. Your descendants had the scarlet letter put on them by royalty. So yeah, by the way, I'm just going to like nonchalantly walk out with your shit.
Yeah. And Martin, right in time for Martin to be like, oh, hey, you sold the clock. And he thinks he's about to get a check, Steve. So Niles and Fraser, first of all, don't want to admit that they've completely botched this. They've taken his clock, they've lost it. He basically, they might as well have just thrown it out off the balcony at this point, because that's really what it's worth. Nothing to them.
Nothing.
And Martin's like, oh, well, how much did you get? And they can't even tell him because they're like, fuck, you didn't buy a boat, did you? And he's like, no, man, of course not. I didn't buy a boat. I would not do that because you got me way more money. So I bought this Winnebago, motherfucker. And we're going to be going out on trips together because you got me all this extra money. And Fraser and Niles don't even fess up, Steve. They live that lie. They take a $30K hit to just please their father. So if nothing else, these guys, while they did fuck this situation up, they're good sons. You know, they took that hit.
Yeah, well, hey, they knew that if they didn't, it's going to be a longer ride in that Winnebago.
Yeah. And also just, you know, he's over the moon. He's about to get a new Winnebago. He's looking at the brochure. He's thinking about where to put all this stuff. And he leaves, and it leaves Fraser and Niles just to sort of swill a little sherry, you know, drown their sorrows in sherry, which it just seems like the most bitch of a drink to, you know, if you're drinking sherry, I don't like alcohol, but I gotta say, I drink margaritas, and I feel like I can say somebody that drinks sherry is a bitch. So that's.
It seems like it tastes like Welch's. Is sherry made by Welch's?
I feel like sherry is like, you know, when you have like just that shit ass champagne that is like $3, the Corbel bottle that everyone buys to like, it's the one that everyone shakes, you know. I feel like there's like that. It's just dry and just, you have to almost want to feel like you're high class, so you won't admit that it tastes like complete shit, you know.
So it tastes like Coke 45.
Exactly. Basically, you know, it's just the opposite. It's like people knew Colt 45 was some shit, but it was just Billy D was that classy where he's like, it don't
just
matter. You know, it's just there to get you fucked up so we can all just get loose off the goose. You know, it's one of those things. But they're out there. It's like wine, I feel like. You know, people that are always like those real particular wine drinkers who will spend like $500. Tell me a $500 bottle of wine tastes any different than a $5, the $5 chuck you can get at fucking Trader Joe's, you know? You're living a lie. And they are doing that. But like George Costanza and that Seinfeld we talked about, they're comfortable in this lie, Steve. And not only that, while they're sipping that sherry, they're like, fuck, man. You know, we're the descendants of thieves and whores. But, you know, I did read this story about this author in New York City who had sex with a Russian prostitute. So maybe we're related to that author, and they keep that fire, the flame. It almost died, Steve, but they kept it. It's still burning. They might still be a little bit classy, you know. They're still trashy, but there might be a little classy in there, you know.
We got a little something to run with here.
Yeah, it's not, the dream isn't completely dead. They got everything's in there, maybe except a hand, but you know, maybe. But they're going to keep swilling that sherry. They're going to keep eating that caviar. And they even, you know, they got Daphne to even feel like maybe they got a maid. So at the end of the day, Steve, these guys are still living that lifestyle. They're still one of the elite class of Seattle. But even those elite classes, there's a few weak links in the chain. And I think beyond everything else, Steve, I think we can all thank Daphne for just looking as sexy as an English woman can. You know, I don't know many English women, but I feel like she's right at the top of the list.
And all was forgotten by the closing credits. She gave us a table dance. It's about as tame as NBC can allow in the 90s. But she looked like this, and she was on a table, and she was doing some shit.
She was doing enough for Niles, you know. He was just having a daydream in the midst of he was a sherry drunk, all about to black out, but he clearly he's still in love with Daphne, and we're getting to the point where he almost loses her, Steve. Once you see what Donnie looks like, you know, he's a Jewish lawyer in the show, and I don't want to sound anti-Semitic, I'm not, but I just got to say, as far as he is the most ugliest lawyer you can think of. And he also was in True Romance as an ugly agent. So that guy, another king of the 90s, he let Daphne just go through his fingers in a very funny way. When that happens, they get to the wedding, Steve. They get to the wedding. And Niles is like just right at the last second snags Daphne out of disaster and pulls her out of the wedding. But Donnie.
Oh, so he does a Dwayne Wayne. That's what Dwayne Wayne did to Whitley.
Basically, wow. Maybe they stole that, but that's what happens. But before we even get to the wedding, Daphne, thank you. And, you know, I'm not classy in any way, but I just got to say, Steve, I get it. I get wanting to feel like you come from something. It's hilarious that they don't. They're just thieves and whores and psychiatrists, I guess, you know.
I mean, you could pretty up anything. I'm from Sandusky, Ohio, where roamers and people who like looking at the sky, the best people who look at the sky in the world. Yes, you could just embellish.
It's America's roller coast, Steve. So,
America's rocking roller coast.
Oh, but this is another good Frasier episode. There was like a 3 to pick from, but I think we picked the best one for this date. So shout out Kelsey, shout out Niall, shout out the Frasier Crane crew, because I want to hang out and I want to watch Antiques Roadshow with them. Veneer.
Now, you know who probably didn't watch this episode of Frasier in 1999 on November 11th, Matthew?
I'm worried. Who?
Probably voice actress Mary Kay Bergman. She was born in 1961 and she died on November 11th, 1999. She did some work. Yeah, Mary Kay Bergman. She did some work with South Park. That was some of her most recent work, and I'm assuming these were some of the characters that she voiced.
Oh, damn.
With the exception of Cartman, I don't know. Maybe she was the earliest voice of Cartman.
I don't think that's the case, but I thought it's crazy she did all that, and man, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know they lost one.
Yeah, and by this time, I think South Park's in their second season, 1999.
I wonder how that, like, they just got somebody else to replace her then, I guess, because I don't remember a drop off, and the voices don't seem to have changed at all. So,
no. I mean, me and you can replicate a couple of those voices. Actually, I think we have.
What?
Yeah. Now, any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, Matthew?
I mean, I just want to apologize to Mystical for not remembering his songs and his greatness. But I don't have a lot other than to say it's good to be back, Steve. We had a little lull in recording, but very much looking forward to being in the new studio when we get into our apartment. But it is good to see you, and it is good to be back in the 90s. I love it. So
I'm glad you made it safe, man. Escape that Being John Malkovich scene that you are recording from. I'm looking forward to the new setup and everything, man. And I feel like I'm a little rusty, man. When you're sitting on ice for a while, it's like, oh man, I forgot how to jump shoot.
Yep.
And now in 1991, Designing Women is airing Just Say Doe. And I'm only mentioning that because the old lady, I can't call her name, she just breaks out randomly into this like old Negro spiritual in front of Meshach Taylor. And it was just hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. It happened in 1991. It's Designing Women, Just Say Doe. But on that same day, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is airing the episode Cased Up. And cameo alert, it's Malcolm Jamal Warner. Theo Huxtable himself.
Oh,
this
shit.
is at the Cosby Show is still running rampant. It's 1991, and he does a little guest appearance as one of Hillary's boyfriends, who's a lawyer. He gets sued by Will because I think he hits Will's car. But yeah, really cool episode.
I do. Okay, I think I remember. I loosely remember that episode. I mean, shout out Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah,
we haven't talked about him enough in this show. I feel like we've been Malcolm Jamal Warnerless, and I'm sad.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, man, he's one of my favorite Huxtables. In 1993, in Living Color, they're airing the episode 110, and the Wanda's search for her baby daddy continues. And this is the episode where Barry Bonds cameos. She breaks into his limousine, and she's just like, "Man, who is this person? Like lady, I've never seen you before." And I think this carries on throughout the season, looking for her baby daddy.
Okay.
But yeah, and about that 95 Saturday Night Live. This is the first airing of the Bug Attack parody with Will Ferrell and what was the actual name of it?
Bug Attack. I don't remember that.
It's the skit where they go into detail about how they eradicate their house of like roaches and stuff, and then like they go step by step in how they like separate the arms from the it's that one
trap thing, right?
It's like a trap. Yeah, and this is their first airing of that. Yeah.
We shove poison in its mouth so it can it's like a 3D rendering of the shit. You see, hell yeah.
Bug off.
Hell yeah.
This one.
That's hilarious. I do remember that. Shout out to all SNL commercials, because in the 90s, that was one of my favorite things. The Phil Hartman one where it's like a brand cereal and it's like called Colon Blow, I think.
Colon Blow.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Because they would rerun some of these, and this is one of them.
Oh, it's a classic one. I mean, a lot of those, they even had like a VH. I probably have it in one of these cupboards someplace, but it was like a compilation of all their commercials, like that, Bassomatic, all the hits.
Yeah, man. Now, as always, please check out our sister shows, Over the Culture every Sunday and Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesday. And our buddies at B3F every Monday. Their audio comes out, and Wednesdays their video comes out. This is Steve G, Mad G with Happened in the 90s. Get your hand out my pocket, motherfucker.
Get out my way, bitch.